Hello and welcome to Tutorial 3 for GDTK Stats. This tutorial will be covering global stats and damage UI. So to start off, we have copied over our completed tutorial from number 2, and now we're going to go ahead and get some things set up. So first, we're going to start by creating a new object, and we're going to name it global stats. You can name it whatever you want for the course of the tutorial. It's just to keep track of things. We're going to add a global stats object to it. And as you can see, it tells you that it registers itself as global stats. So that's how we're going to be able to find it for other things. What we're going to use this for is we're going to control difficulty of the game. And that's going to be a multiplier that we assign to damage. So we're going to go ahead and name stat difficulty. And we're going to give it a minimum of 0.25, a maximum of 3, and a default of 1. That's all we need for that. So let's go ahead and make some UI for this so that we can not only see it, but we can control it. So we'll go over into the canvas here, and we're going to create a new GDK stats stat slider. And we'll go ahead and position this towards the bottom. That looks good. And we'll tell it the stat ID is difficulty. And we're going to get it from the registry from global stats. We're also going to click the set value with slider so that we can control the value of it in real time. Let's also go ahead and add a couple of other UI elements to it. Let's add a stat value label. Once again, we're going to find global stats, and we're going to get difficulty. Oops, that needs to be lowercase. And we can select different things from here. We're just going to select value, because that's what we're interested in for this particular one. So again, we're going to set this to the bottom right, pivot of 0, 0. So we'll do 180 for the left, 16 for the bottom, give it a height of 20. Looks good. Make it bold and white. And let's do a default value of 0 there. It'll automatically replace once we start everything up. And then this isn't really needed, but it just shows off another item that we can do, which is stat label. This gives us a bit more actually a lot more control over what we display. So let's get this set up. I think we're going to want 40. Yeah, that looks good. So we'll make this bold, white, centered on both. And then again, find in registry, global stats, difficulty. And if we click the show help here, we're going to see all these different items. So it can replace any of these or all of these items that you want from the format with their proper value. I'm going to use the title. We could have just written this out into the label, but for things like localization, we could do something like entry title so that it can automatically localize for us. In this case, we're just going to use title. Let's validate that we've got everything set right. Okay, and let's just go ahead and rename these. So, okay, so now if we start it up, we should be able to see all the little details here. So we've got difficulty, here's its current value, and if we do the slider, very nice. Okay, so now let's go apply that. So what we're going to do is go into each of our damage dealers, and where we have the normal amount, we'll do plus global, which is how we define that we want to look at the global stats, difficulty. And in fact, you know what, instead of plus, let's do times is what we should be doing with that. That's the correct way of doing that guy. Alright, so all these are going to be multiplied. Let's see. Let's do some fun things while we're here. Let's change this guy to be conditional. And let's give him, we'll do RNDF, so a random float from 0 to 1, and if it's greater than or equal to 0.4, it will hit. And let's give it a 60% chance of doing a critical hit. So we'll make the normal damage 5 and the critical 10. And both of these guys we will multiply by global difficulty. This should not have been applied continuously, so we'll fix that from the last demo. This one, let's do, what do we want to do here? We'll just leave it as automatic and give it a simple chance. Let's make this one 40% to hit, and we'll do 5 and 15 for the criticals. Okay. So now if we start up again, let's just walk into, let's let this guy hit us. And then if we set the difficulty up to 3 and let it hit us again, oh yeah, there's a nice difference right there in the damage. So that's how we can easily apply a global stat. But it could be really useful for us to see the damage that we're taking. So let's go ahead and take care of that right now. We'll go into the player, and we're going to create a couple of empty objects because there's 2 ways that we can do this. So first we'll do damage display 3D, and then we'll create a new canvas as well, and that will be damage display canvas. And we're only going to have one of these enabled at a time, but they're both going to have the same object, which is a damage display UI. So let's disable the canvas for now and start with the damage display. So it needs to know what the damage receiver is. We'll just go ahead and drag in our character. It needs to know where is it going to put these UI elements, and that's going to be in itself, which we've already got. We can set a lifespan for how long it appears. We're going to make this 2 seconds. It's going to last for 2 seconds. We need a label as well. So I've already created a couple of these, and let's have a look. These guys are simple. There is nothing else added other than the UI label TMP or UI label for the other one. So this is just a TextMesh Pro 3D object on this one, and a TextMesh Pro UGUI on this one. And we've got it set nice and small font size because this is going to be world space. So for this guy, we'll just plop in our prefab right here. We'll show misses, and this is what it'll say when it misses. It'll say miss. Critical, we'll have crit followed by the damage. If we group the sources together, it will reuse that same one until it goes away, so we'll do that. We'll also use a decimal point because we have the continuous ones, so we want to be able to see it when it's below a full 1. And then we'll also use offsets. So what this is it's just a list of vector 3 points, and it goes through them one by one and then goes back to the beginning. So every time we create a new instance of damage, it will go to the next item on this list and then loop back to the beginning when it's done. So that's all that's needed for this. We'll go ahead and start it back up and take a little damage. So if we pop in here, all right, we're not seeing anything. Let's see. So we've got it showing up here. I bet it's going to be an issue. Ah, there it is down there. So we need to go ahead and reposition this. So let's take a look at the damage control 3D object. And yeah, let's just go ahead and move that up a little bit. Let's just move that straight to 2. That seems like a good, easy one. All right, let's go back in here again. There we go. There's our damage showing up, and as you can see, it uses the next one over when it takes a different damage. And this guy will reuse it, except for, misses and crits are different, so we've got to wait for it to try and hit us twice in a row. Oh, one would think this would happen a little more consistently. Okay. Another thing that we can add to this to make our life easier, this is another GDTK, is rotate towards main camera, because it is the way it's oriented. It will also do a 180 on it. Yeah, so let's go ahead. We'll disable this guy. Actually, we'll copy him out, and we'll actually replace the value on this one. But we will replace it with this label and this position. Okay, so let's enable this guy. And we're going to make him world space. And we're going to remove the scaler and the raycaster because we don't need either of those. Okay. We'll also do the rotate to the camera, 180. And that'll be it. So let's go ahead and take some damage, this time displaying it with the canvas. Okay, looking good, other than maybe we need to make that a little bit higher up. So let's go ahead and make the canvas, 3 is too high, 2.5. About 2.2. Yeah, that's looking good. So we will leave it at 2.2. And it will be there for the next tutorial, which is going to be damage types and modifiers, where we can change damage types and how much damage we take from different types. Until then, thanks for joining, and I'll see you later.